Welcome to Toffee TV. It is the player ratings. Everton 0, Aston Villa 2. I think it really feels like a really demoralising game for a lot of people today. I think it feels like a bit of a kick in the teeth, that defeat. Basically because I think it's a game, not that we should have won, but we could have won. You know, it's a game that was there to be won. You know, the game has changed on a penalty, which, from one angle, looks like Garner got the ball. Apparently, there's another angle where it looks like he hits his knee. I haven't seen that angle, so I'm not really going to go into it too much. But just disappointing, just a disappointing game. Again, if we had a centre forward, I think we win that game. And I think that's again the difference between the two teams, is that they had a centre forward or two centre forwards, and that's why they win the game, because they've got more of a threat up front. And again, I don't want to go overboard about the penalty situation. It's a pen or it's not a pen, whatever. I'm not going to go overboard about it, because, as I said, I've only seen it from one angle and I couldn't really see it at the match. But I think today shows where, again, the real issues lie at this football club. We've won our 2 home games under the manager. So it is hard when you get a defeat at home. And listen, ultimately, not sitting here thinking we're the world's best team, by the way. Not sitting here thinking too much has changed. We look a little bit more organised. We look like we've got an actual idea of what we want to do. You know, we try and get the ball wide. We started using that switch today from especially Tarkowski over to the left hand side. We got a lot of joy with that. We got a lot of balls into the box, and we have no one in there. And the same issue he faces is the same issue that Frank Lampard faced. The same issue that we had in the summer is that we do not have goal scorers. We do not have a goal scorer. Maupay will never be the answer. Ellis Sims will never be the answer. I'm sorry to break that to you, but he'll never be the answer. And I think the fact that the manager brought him on with 14 minutes to go or whatever it was tells you that he's not the answer. And that's the problem. I've got no problem with the actual performance today. I thought we played better this week than we played against Leeds. I really did. I thought we had a lot more control of the game. I thought from about 15 minutes on in the first half, I think we dominated that after Jordan Pickford had made a fantastic save. And I think that's when we have to score the goal. And if we do get the goal, we win that game. I honestly believe we win that game, because I think when we don't go chasing the game, we don't leave any space behind us. I think we've got enough defensively. Are there still defensive problems? Yes, in terms of single issues, in terms of player individual issues. Sorry, but goal scoring is the problem, and you can play as well as you want. If you do not put the ball in the back of the net, if you do not have shots to put the ball in the back of the net, you're in trouble. And I honestly think that's the difference between us and a lot of other teams, is that we can't put the ball in the back of the net when we need to, and that is going to really going to hinder us as we go forward, unless we can get Dominic Calvert-Lewin back for. And by the way, I'm not sitting here going when we get Dominic Calvert-Lewin, though. If we get him back and we can keep him fit, and these are the same ifs we've been saying for 18 months. If we can get him back, and if we can get him fit, and if we can keep him fit for 10, 11, 12 games, if that's possible, then we might have a chance of staying up. But if you can't put the ball in the back of the net, you're not going to win games of football. And all it takes in a game like that, the penalty is we fall asleep from the throw-in, the ball goes into the box, and ultimately Garner should not be trying to tackle on the wrong side like he did, because I don't listen. If he's caught him, the lad's gone down. It's a penalty, and that can be. And that's the end. That was the end of the game, wasn't it? Because ultimately, then we have to go chasing it. They sit in. They get one. They get an opportunity. Which Connor Cody, fucking hell, mate, you've got to be doing better than that. The lad just made a move to the left, and he was past you, and the ball was in the back of the net before Jordan Pickford's got a chance. This is after Jordan Pickford's had to make an absolute worldie of a save, because the lad's been left on his own in the middle. If we don't find a way of scoring goals that isn't just set pieces, then I personally think we'll go down. I really do. I really, really do. Because you need to score goals. If you cannot score goals from... And, we'll talk about players, and I'll talk about individuals, obviously, in a minute, right? But just in terms of the group, Iwobi, no goals. Dwight McNeil. I don't mean no goals I mean there's no goals in him. Dwight McNeil, there's no goals in him. Decore, there's no goals in him. Garner, there's no goals in him. Anana, there's no goals in him. And when I say no goals, what I mean is threat. The fullbacks, obviously Seamus scored last week, but it's a complete worldie. There's no real presence. There's moments. There's the header from Onana, yes. There is moments. There's moments of set pieces, yes. But in the general play, we do not create opportunities that are going to get us the goals, sadly. And that, to me, is a huge, huge problem. Did players play better today? Some players play better, yes. Did it contribute to a win? No. So we'll have to take it game by game. But I am sitting here now, and listen, I'm not despondent. I just think if the pattern continues the way it has the whole of the season, I don't think you can add goals to the team if you've not got players who can score goals. And I think that's the big issue. And when we didn't buy players in January, this was always going to be the issue. And as I said, I'm not going overboard about the situation. The situation is what it is. It's why people marched before this game and the last game and the game before, for this very reason. That it was people's jobs to get us centre forward, a basic centre forward who could help us when we need to go long and hold the ball up and do the things that Dominic Calvert-Lewin did against Arsenal. We haven't got one of them, and unless there's one out there floating around who's free, or Dom can keep himself fit, then I worry for us. I do worry for us. And it's great saying, we can win the game 1-0. Well, today was against a team that were easily beatable, and we couldn't take the lead because we haven't got it. And there you go, sadly. Let's get into the individual performances. Jordan Pickford made 2 brilliant saves, made one early on to make it to keep it 0-0, and then made that one absolute world-class save in the second half from the header. Just those 2 saves are the reason why, obviously we've extended his contract. He made one silly kick, I think, in the first half, but those 2 saves were absolutely top draw saves. There's nothing he could do with the penalty, I mean, there is something he can do, but he didn't do it. But no, so I've given 7.5 for his performance today. Seamus Coleman, defensively, I thought he did all right. Going forward, not amazing, but tried to join in. Again, going to be a very interesting situation with him this week to see what happens, whether he plays in the week or whether he sits out. Obviously 3 games this week, and obviously the Forest game with them getting beat today is a massive game. But listen, worked hard, isn't shy, tries to get forward. I'm not gonna. By the way, I'm not gonna like slag any. Well, maybe one person off today, but I'm not really gonna slag anyone off for the performance. I thought they all worked hard. What they're short of is just a bit of creativity and a bit of different people have different things. Seamus Coleman, I've given him a 7. Mikalenko on the other side. Again, I was looking at his average position there, quite high, and in the first half, him and Dwight McNeil did brilliantly on that side today. He was really high session in the first half. I think he went out the game a lot in the second half. Him and Dwight McNeil went out the game a lot out the game in the second half, but defensively, still, I think, a big liability. But I thought today he joined up a lot better. Put some good crosses in himself. Made some good runs to allow Dwight McNeil the opportunity to put some balls in as well. So, did all right, Mikalenko. I've give him a 7 as well. Connor Cody, that goal, that second goal is it's awful. It's awful defending. I think Connor Cody gets caught like this quite a lot. He gets caught flat-footed. The lad just changes his body shape and he's left for dead. And it's like, open your legs up a bit. Give yourself you've got... Tarkowski was right next to him, I think. And so all his weight should be to push the player that way anyway, because that's where he's going to be going. If he comes inside, they're going to deal with it because him and Tarkowski are there. He's only really got one way to go, and I just find that for a professional footballer, I find that awful. I really do. I find that awful that you would allow someone to do that. So for that, I've given him a 5 for that reason. I just thought I thought that goal was appalling. There's still, what was there? Still 10 minutes left to grab a goal. That's a big goal to concede. That goal, a big goal to concede. And don't get me wrong, the lad's finished it brilliantly. But to allow him to get past you like that, what are you doing? Just push him out. He can only go that way. So push him out. I thought that was awful. Personally. So I'll give him a 5. Tarkowski did all right. Some great balls from him and Connor Cody did play some decent passes wide. But I thought Tarkowski's. You sort of seen him under Sean Dyche. There's obviously is his fella, isn't he? So you can see him organising the back line, trying to. He's obviously in charge. And I thought he did okay, to be honest, defensively and trying to get us going. So I've given him a 7. Garner obviously give the penalty away. I thought again Garner was sound today. Thought obviously following on from last week, getting in and about. It was difficult in there because obviously Onana picked up the early booking. He picked up the early booking and that really took that side of his game out. Because I think, I'll come back to Onana in a minute, but Garner, I think, just getting in, nicking the ball, being a nuisance, his passing in the last couple of games has been a hell of a lot better, not making those silly mistakes, although he did make a couple last week, but today a hell of a lot better. As I said, shouldn't really be tackling like that in the penalty box, coming in from the side. Did a decent job today. So I've given him a 7. Onana, not quite what he could have been, simply because that booking I just thought was nonsense. I didn't even know it was a booking. I really didn't. I don't even think it was a foul. I don't even think it was a foul, but he's been booked early on, and I think that's taken that extra little bit out of him. I think the manager would have liked him to almost be the height for Maupay. And I just thought it took all that side of the game out of him. once he got that book, and he had to be very, very careful. He's done really well, by the way, you know, because he's put a couple of slide tackles in there, but it's took him out the game. That booking for large parts of it, of course, you don't want him. He's not going to want to get sent off, of course. He's not. So he's got to be very, very careful, which I did think he did, but obviously he can't. He can't put his foot in. He can't put a slide tackle in. He's got to be very careful when he's jumping. It just took him out the game obviously last week he was carrying a bit of a knee injury, but yeah, disappointing. I've given him a 6. Decore, good energy in midfield. I'll tell you one thing he needs to do though. He needs to get proper studs in his boots, because he done it again. He gets in the box and he's on the right hand side going towards the park end, and he's sort of like waiting to pick someone out, and the next minute he's sort of like nearly falling over himself. It's like, what are you doing? Get some studs in your boots, lad. I think that 3 in midfield with him, I think there's a lot more energy. I think there's a lot more strength and height. He made some good runs to Corey with the ball today. Did he get booked? And was it just he got booked for the when he said he elbowed the lad in the face. I'll come back to the ref in a bit. But he said he was away, and he said he booked him for elbowing in the face. What a load of nonsense. Absolute nonsense. But I think that midfield works a lot better than the one we had. But the problem is, there's no creativity in it. And there's no goals in it. Onana was unlucky, he went close with the header, but there's not that threat, there's not that. And that's what I think we need. I think Decore could give us more. It's not like he hasn't scored goals in his career. I think there is more out of them. I've give Decore 6.5. Dwight McNeil, probably his best game in an Everton shirt, I'd say. I thought first half, I thought he was terrific. I think his crossing was brilliant. I think his running with the ball was good. I think in the second half he had a really, really good chance to score. It was the one big moment in the second half when the ball bounced off their lad and then came back. And again, I'm trying to be positive about Dwight McNeil, but it's so annoying when he's got to switch the ball back onto his left foot. It is so annoying. I mean, his left foot's good, and that's why when he's doing the basics like just crossing the ball and stuff, it's decent. It's the other side of the game that is so frustrating. And his game has been simplified a lot by Sean Dyche. That's clear. But when you've got to check onto your left foot, and that's 3 times in the last 3 games he's had to do that, by the way, where we've had big opportunities, or he's had opportunities to score, and that one today, he's basically got an open goal. The goalie's on the floor, and that annoyed me. I thought he went out of the game as the second half went on, but I thought for 15-20 minutes, even a bit longer in the first half, I thought he was really, really positive. And it was probably all round his best performance. As I said, running with the ball, quite strong. But when you're that one-footed, you're making it so hard for yourself. You're making it so hard for yourself. I think he had the beating of the fullback first half when we were switching it to him. But you're making it really difficult for yourself by being one-footed and having to check back and stuff. So I've given Dwight McNeil 7.5. As I said, probably his best all-round game in an Everton shirt. But sadly, no one was on the end of one of those really good crosses, which I do think if Dominic Calvert-Lewin had been playing, which obviously he's not, he would have had a field day. I think Chris Wood would have had a field day today, if I'm honest, with those crosses. They were fantastic, some of them. So, yeah, well played to him. Alex Iwobi on the other side, he was all right. Again, he's not someone who wants to cross with the ball He's someone who, he was trying to be creative out wide, but he's not a winger. He was all right. He was all right. He had his moments, but again, he's not really creating anything. But I've given him a 6.5. And then Neil Maupay, just pointless. If I'm honest, just pointless. I'm not gonna. By the way, I'm not slagging him off. Just pointless in this team. He does not suit or have the attributes for this team whatsoever. It's pointless having him up front. It really is. It's pointless having him up front. He just doesn't offer anything, and his movements in the box is well. I said I wasn't going to slag him off. His movements in the box is non-existent for a centre forward. It's awful, because some of those crosses were just in the right area for just a little bit of movement, and you're in. You've got to tap in, or you slide in, or whatever, or you. After about 15 minutes today, I thought we were really going to struggle in the forward position, because I looked at what they had. Mings, obviously big fella, and we're trying to play these balls into Maupay or crosses, and it just ain't going to work. It's just not going to work with Maupay. It's as simple as that. He just does not suit the way we want to play, and it's pointless. It really is pointless. I just don't. The manager obviously wants to play a certain way, and he can't tailor that way for the centre forward. And this is going to be the issue, unless Dominic Calvert-Lewin does come back. This is going to be the issue, and it's a huge issue, because Ellis, the manager watches them train every day, and he obviously doesn't think. You'd imagine he obviously doesn't think Ellis Sims is good enough, because he came on for the last 15 minutes or whatever it was. Didn't really do anything in that time. Jumped a couple of times. Had one shot volley that he put wide at the Galaxy. It was a difficult chance. But Maupay was he's non-existent, and we're really going to struggle. We're really going to struggle while he's up front, and if we're playing crosses and we're going long and all these things. And again, I put this on the people who run the football club. I put this on them, because I think we win the game. Yeah, Jimmy's just put in the XG. The XG was 1.74 for Everton. It was 1.71 for Villa. If anyone doesn't know what XG means, that means if we've got a striker on, we win the game, basically. Our expected goals today was 1.74. Theirs was 1.71. They scored 2 goals. Why? Because they've got strikers on the pitch. They put a striker on the pitch as well, by the way. Our subs, I thought Dyche's subs weren't brilliant, because he waited so long. But you can only work with what you've got, I suppose. And to me, this is where the issues lie. Maupay, if we have a striker on that pitch today, a Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and Richarlison, we win that, I think, comfortable. I really do. I think we win last week 3-0, no problem against Leeds. And that's the thing. And that's why, listen, as I said, I don't know whether it was a penalty or if it wasn't a penalty or whatever. I'm not asked, I'm not interested. That's by the by, isn't it? That's by the by. Ultimately, if we've got a striker, we win that game, and that comes down to the board, the owner, director of football not getting us a centre forward. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. Can't point the finger anywhere else, really. You can point the finger at Lampard last summer for rejecting a few, but that's where the finger will be pointed. And if Everton go down because we haven't scored goals, then that's where the blame lies, for me, completely, absolutely completely. Tom Cannon scored apparently as well, but Tom Cannon is not the answer at all. You need a top level striker, to be in the Premier League. You need someone who can hold the ball, knows where the back of the net is, create space, all those things. And we haven't got it. And this is why we're in massive trouble. But that's not just the centre forward, by the way. That's other areas of the pitch. We don't score goals anywhere on the pitch, really, do we, consistently? We don't have a midfielder who scores 6, 7, 8 goals. We don't have one centre forward who gets half a dozen. We don't a dozen. We don't have another centre forward who gets a dozen. Yeah. Malpai, I've given a 4 anyway. The subs, Damari Gray. I thought he was woeful. I'll be honest. I just thought he looked like he couldn't be arsed. He went full Peter Beagley, trying to take on the fullbacks every time again. Yeah, I thought he was poor. I thought he was very poor. I think you could see straight away why the manager hasn't been starting him. I thought he was. I thought he had a real opportunity to change that game, and he didn't. I'll give him a 4. Ellis Sims. I don't think he really offered too much. A bit more of a physical presence. Probably won a couple of headers. Not really a threat. Doesn't really. I've said this. He doesn't know where to run as a lone striker. He doesn't know where to go. He's a player that needs to be in the box. You just wonder whether in the first half, with those chances though, balls coming in from wide areas, how different it would be for someone like Ellis Sims. You do wonder, like, but the manager's not picking him, and he's not getting him on the pitch. And when he did come on the pitch, he was feeding off scraps. So, what can you really do? But I've give him a 5. And Tom Davis really didn't do anything either when he came on the pitch, so I've given him a 5 as well. So there you go, a disappointing result. We are back in the bottom 3, and it'll probably be like this, I imagine. You know, it's going to be an interesting week. We've got Arsenal. Let's just get that out the way, see what happens. Then we've got Forest. That's a huge game. They've been beaten today, battered by West Ham, who did buy a striker who has been out injured. We've got to get something at Forest. Can't allow them to get away from us with a win. But I'm not sitting here, by the way, like worried sick, because this has been my thinking all season. You can have a good team or a goodish team, but if you don't score goals, what's the point? And you probably haven't got a good team, have you? If you can't create chances. So that's the top and bottom of it. Just wanted to mention, just wanted to mention that refereeing performance today. That was simply shocking. That referee performance. That is not good enough at all. That referee performance. That is just absolutely woeful. Woeful. From the first booking to the Corey one, just everything. Like consistency. Things that were fouls for them weren't given fouls for us. It was just appalling. An absolute appalling refereeing performance. The standards are just so poor these days. Absolutely appalling. So, there's no point in me going on about it, but it was shocking. It was absolutely shocking. I don't sit here as someone who has a real GOAT referee, because I think the standard is pretty poor. But today, Jesus, he was bad. He was really, really bad. Really, really bad. So, there you go. Listen, make sure you check out Baz's videos. Make sure you check out my Gladys Street reaction as well. We'll be back on Monday to do the final word over on Toffee TV Premiere. If you haven't subscribed to that, why haven't you subscribed? Daily live videos over there. Check them out. The link is in the description, and it'll be coming up on the screen in just a moment. See you later.